Welcome
to Even Odds. I'm Carly.
I'm Matt.
And this is Warhammer Wednesdays.
Yeah!
Today we're going to be talking about Wargear and building your individual models up for gameplay in a game of Kill Team.
Yes.
Basically.
Yes.
And the options that you have roughly, and just kind of a thing in general.
So Wargear is pretty simple once you know what it is, how to sort of navigate it, but at the top it can be a bit confusing, especially because the layout of the book is maybe, it's not laid out poorly, but it's just laid out confusingly a little bit. So we're going to be looking at AdMech, just for good examples, since that's what we've been doing is AdMech and Gene Stealers.
Well, one thing that is very different from regular Warhammer 40k or Age of Sigmar or 30k or whatever is that Kill Team has a lot smaller amounts of models, much more condensed number of models that you have to choose from. So again, a really great way to start getting into Warhammer, because you have the Adeptus Mechanicus, you have literally 4 and really only kind of 2.
Yeah.
You have 2 boxes, 2 sets. They could be built different ways, or maybe I'm incorrect.
That's correct. That's correct.
Right. So a box of Skitarii Rangers and Vanguard are the same box.
Same kit.
So that may also be the case for some of the other armies.
Right,
but basically, you have your assumedly your rule book, and you would find your army, of course, and then see what your particular models are even possible for you to use for Kill Team. So then, of course, all these models are also in 40k, so if you want to expand after that and make your army larger and get all the points and all the models. But, so that's what makes this a great place to start.
Good jumping on point, yeah.
So specifically, so far, we're talking about that we built our starter 10 models with the war gear and meaning guns and melee weapons and things that are on the cards. You can change that around based on what's available to you. And so we're just going to talk a little bit about building up your points for your team, because you can do, a maximum of 100 points for your team.
Every army has the same sort of format in the book, right? You start off with your blurb, then your sort of tables of things like name generation, your special rules and stuff, your tactics. You get into the actual unit bits, which are called the data slates, and then on those you have a box called Wargear options, which is what we're going to be focusing on. Now, basically, it's great piggyback off what you said, right? Wargear, it's guns and melee weapons, and then there's also sort of miscellaneous things that you can take.
Tactical equipment.
Yeah, just basically extra equipment. But it's always one of those 3. It's either a ranged weapon of some sort, a melee weapon of some sort, or some sort of extra equipment that your guy can have. So it, again, just using the AdMech as an example, you'll find this on all the data slates for all the armies. So just substitute yours where applicable. You'll go and you'll look under here, Wargear options. So we're just going to look at the Skitarii Ranger, for example, right? So you'll notice it's first one Skitarii Ranger in your kill team may take an enhanced data tether or an omnispecs. That's a perfect example of the miscellaneous equipment. Those are items in addition to any weapons that the model has, and then anything like that. The rules for that will be found on the data slate, or if you flip past the data slates, you have another set of sort of charts, one for ranged weapons, one for melee weapons, one's for other war gear, that's the equipment we talked about, and then you have all your points for everything.
Right, this should mostly, at least for the other Wargear seems to just
Just
give
be
you
the points,
a point
yeah.
idea, and that
Right.
it is on the data slate that it's going to give you what
Right.
the actual ability. It's under the ability chart. So,
Right, but
yeah.
the weapons rules will not be on the data slate. So if you look at the data slate, it doesn't have any weapons stats or anything like that. So you would flip over to the next page and you'd go, okay, so
Yeah, this
if
handy
he's
chart
having,
here.
you know, a galvanic rifle, you'd go over here and you'd look for galvanic rifle and you'd have all your rules for it there. Now that really highlights the strength of these data cards, okay? Now when we're talking about, you know, it's pretty cumbersome if you're sitting here and while you're playing, you know, going like, okay, so, well, I have this and I did, but you know, that's really the strength of these, is that you can fit all of that information on the data card. Now these are the pre-filled out ones that we've been using, but also in the Kill Team box are blank ones. And then for those of you who did not buy the Kill Team starter set, you actually can find these in stores. It's a just a box of blank data cards, and it just basically, you know, a blank data card. You got it right there, and it just has all the exact same. I mean, it's the exact same
now, that's
layout.
not going to be as, you know, like this super tiny print.
Right,
and
you
font
have
that
to
gives
write
you
it
the
in.
whole, you know, details of the ability. So.
Right.
I mean, again, that is kind of why it was nice to just use the pre-printed ones right
Sure,
out
yeah.
of the box, which you could still take these and, you know, modify them to some degree.
Yeah, scratch something out or write something else in.
Put some other, like, none of the original 10, at least for the AdMech, come with the enhanced data tether or the Omni specs as taken into account, I don't think. So
No,
you
no.
could decide which one you want and then add that in.
Add that
and
in.
Sort of,
So there's an app called Battle Scribe,
right.
and it's really great. It has a lot of the rules, but it doesn't have something
It's an unofficial.
It's an unofficial one.
one.
Yeah, they've been hit with a couple cease and desists from time to time, but so far they're still working.
But if Games Workshop doesn't have
and-
anything to
Yeah,
really
it's
takes
very
its
well. I
place.
mean, that
They
there's I
do
think there's a
for
reason it's
Age
still
of-
running.
Yeah.
You know.
They do for Age of Sigmar, right? Which
Right,
is a very
Right.
pay-heavy
Yeah,
system
yeah.
of having to, they basically like kind of
Yeah.
nickel and dime you.
But-
yeah.
But Battle Scribe is not anywhere near as nice and easy to digest as these are. These are really, like,
Yeah.
you know, really
so
top
it's
notch.
not a perfect system, perhaps.
But it's something that
But
you could
yeah,
look into if you
know,
don't want to
you
have the real world
definitely,
cards.
at least until you become more familiar with what your weapons are, which again is another really nice thing about Kill Team in particular, making it a great way to like sort of have less to have to memorize at first, to just sort of ease yourself into like the weapons that you're going to have available to you.
Right.
With
So-
your army.
Yeah, so when you're fiddling around and building members of your kill team, you're going to need to know what their points are. If you've just been using the pre-generated guys like we have, or from any of the other kill team sets, they all have their points right here on the top right, but you've got to figure out if you're going to be building
If you're
your
gonna
own,
build them up from scratch.
what your points are, all right?
Yeah.
And so what you'll do is you'll look at the kill team models. Okay, so, you know, just using, again, just a Skitarii Ranger as a example is 9 points. Then I'd go, okay, so he's armed with, for example, a Transuranic Arquebus. Okay, and I'd go under ranged weapons points. Okay, there it has points. I'd add that,
adds 5.
that adds 5 points. Now he's a 14-point model. And you know what? Just for kicks and giggles, I'm going to also give him an enhanced data tether. Now, I don't know if that's a good thing or whatever, but just for example.
Pulls you back to like, well, you need to go over your slate or whatever.
Right,
here
right, to see if that's a good choice.
Just pre-plan what you can and can't add in.
Right, and so you'll add all your points together there, and that'll be the point total for your model. Now, that is where an app like Battle Scribe is very nice, because that's the best part about it, is that it has all the points values programmed in. So you just check the boxes of the options you want, and it just auto-fills the points for you. Some people prefer to do like a pen and paper. Like I said, these are really great, especially if you're doing like a long running campaign style thing. Those are I think still top notch.
You're lovingly creating your dudes.
Right. And then
and names and everything.
Right. And then once you've got your points for everything, then you go, okay, so that's one guy, and then you just make the next guy, so on and so forth, until you've got your kill team of up to 100 points, and or wherever you choose to do it. And now
no, you go ahead.
Okay, so it might seem weird if you look under a lot of the ranged weapons and things like that. A lot of them, their points value are 0, and you might say, well, why would you do that? So the purpose of having it split like this is they can tweak and change things through game updates and say, okay, so we want to update something. We think that the Skitarii Ranger itself is perfectly fine at 9 points, but actually, if it takes this particular weapon, it needs to be more expensive or a little less expensive. And now all of these ones at 0, you'll notice a trend across a lot of the armies. The 0-point Wargear options and things are the standard. It comes standard with this. Those are usually the 0 points. In the future, with updates and things, very unlikely that many of the 0-point ones will change, but it could happen.
Yeah,
it could happen. Yeah. So, and that's what it's just. It gives them a more granular control to tweak the game as they see fit to make it play how the designers intended.
One other interesting thing to note about specifically the starter kit that we've been going from. So if you are currently where you have the Genestealer cult and the AdMech from the starter kit, and we did not take this into account, really. We couldn't as much in that first battle report game that we played without command points and tactics, is that the out-of-the-box points of the 10 models for the Genestealer cults is significantly less compared to the AdMech. So they actually kind of out of the box are counting on you playing with the command points and giving then the Genestealers those extra
like a 3 command point bump.
So having those extra tactics to make up for it,
which is an important note. If you've been playing a couple games, you've been following along with us, and you've been playing without tactics and command points, and then you added them in and you played with that deficit giving you extra command points, I'd like to think you've probably noticed a significant change in the sort of feel of the game from that. And same thing here with Wargear. When you start really customizing your guys, that's when you get into the real, like, okay, I'm playing against this army and I think these weapons will be more effective against them, so I'm going to take them. Meanwhile, I'm going to leave these other weapons at home. And so that's really, it's going to add a lot of that sort of variation. You can, when you're building your kill teams and stuff to play, you can surprise your friends with what you brought this time, so they go, okay, well, last time he brought this, or she, and then then it's okay, well, this time I'm bringing that and this other thing.
But another then, like a follow-up to talking about the points differences in the kit, similarly, these original guys are mostly ranged weapons. There's not a whole lot of melee out of the box. So both of our leaders had a melee weapon that was better than just the standard guy stats. So again, this is another point at which buying a second box of other things, I'm going to get some Rust Stalkers, which is going to give me a little bit more melee ability.
Yeah, which we're going to also make a video covering that, sort of like where to go what to get, what you need to know
Yeah.
about expanding these particular 2 armies. You know,
But
if
right
you guys
out
are
of the
interested.
box, yeah, you're mostly dealing with ranged weapons.
So that's Wargear. I mean, it's pretty simple, but you know, it's really integral.
It's where you get into the real, like, you know, customization here of this. And it's not an exact science, which, you know, you could say for better or worse, right? That makes it more like real war. Okay.
So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
If you liked the video, give us a thumbs up. If you had any questions about Wargear, points costs, things like that, you know, let us know in the comments, and we'll do our best to let you know our answers. Or, you know, if you have some you know, feedback for us, just let us know. And if you want to see videos like this one, you know, hit that subscribe button, and we're gonna be
coming up is additional you know, painting videos to show how to get like your whole setup looking really nice. And then a couple maybe more, like, you know, just discussing like the gameplay.
Yeah, sort of.
rules,
Yeah,
maybe.
probably not too many more of those, because we're kind of at the point where you just need the real world experience. You just play some games.
So then we'll be mostly getting into doing more
battle reports,
and maybe even having some folks
guests,
and other armies, and it'll be cool. So subscribe so you can check that out.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Yeah, so before we get into that, though, a quick correction. Our last sort of rules learn to play video about command points and tactics, we were wrong about particularly how many command points you get at the start of the game. You're only going to start with 2 max, not 3. I won't go into all the details about it, but effectively, I don't know where I came up with that mystery. I think I just misread something.
Thank you,
viewer, for pointing it out.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
Yeah.
So guys, if we ever say something that you're like, hey, wait a second, I think that's not quite right, just let us know and we'll talk about it, okay?
Yeah. And then also a tidbit about command points that we kind of left out, but it's fine because it factors into this too, is that if you on your team have far fewer points than your opponent, or vice versa, you gain additional command points per every 10
10 that you're
point
down
deficit.
Yeah.